Welcome to the what are we gonna call this? The Classic Car Podcast, I guess.
I suppose.
I don't know. I'll figure that out during editing. But my name is Blake, and then this is my friend Kevin, and then today we're going to be talking about Kevin's cars that he's had over his years and why he likes them and what the feelings of nostalgia and things like that and why people like old cars, and we'll just get right into it. What made you want a Camaro, or why did you pick that Camaro out of every Camaro?
Well, I didn't necessarily pick it. Like, my stepdad just kind of found it in a field, and he thought that I would love it. And of course, I got attached to it and everything once they got it going for me. But basically, it was like a field fund for like I think he found like $600 in the field in Berea somewhere. And he wanted me to have something just to get me started, so he didn't actually intend for me to like keep it. And then I got attached to it, and I wanted to fix it up and all this and stuff. And of course, I liked old stuff anyway, so I was more into it than it would have been probably a new one, honestly.
So you liked old stuff before you even had it?
Yeah. I mean, cars like that, I grew up around my grandpa and, my dad and these guys who, they're all into dirt track racing. And there's a whole class of cars that have the same body style,
Yep.
So I always did like those cars. It was like my favorite Hot Wheels and stuff I had was those cars. So. And that's why I have one now, which is my first car, so that's why it's special to me.
So you sold that car, your first car, which was the 81.
I didn't technically sell it, but I might as well have, because basically I bought a ton of parts for it, wanted to fix it up, never got to. And then I basically sold the parts, and the shell of the car is still over there at Camaro Central. But bought a lot of stuff from them.
So you basically sold the car to...
Pretty much.
So you was getting the car that you had in high school restored, right?
Yeah, and it never got finished, because that's the way a lot of projects happen. They never get finished. Mm-hmm. And which that's something I regret, so if I could have somehow worked it out to where I just didn't have the know-how to like work on it or fix it or whatever. And I got in way over my head, didn't have like the credit and stuff. So I took it to a shop that's supposed to be like a professional business and said, hey, I make the payments and you can do it. But they wanted like all this money up front so much, I couldn't do it anymore. So I basically had to do something. I go on these trips and stuff, so I had to have something practical. That's when I basically sold the parts and got my Jeep that I got. So.
And then later you bought that car that you have now, which is on the website.
Yeah, this is basically fast forward 10 years, and this is I was 17 going on 18 when I had my first car. I wasn't actually driving an Instral, but basically once I graduated, that was my car to drive to work or on the weekends or everywhere. That's all I had. And then I got a pickup truck and other stuff, old truck I had. But this one I bought because since I never got to fix my other one, I figured I'd get one that's the same factory color as that one was underneath, and this would be my replacement, and it'd be like I never lost the other one. So yeah, it's not the same car, but it's the same model, same factory color.
Pretty much exactly what your other car was supposed to be.
What it would have been like, yeah.
So you missed your other car, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really replace the memories, I guess you'd say, like riding around with friends and stuff like that. I mean, even if you're just aimless, like you're just driving around at nighttime with nothing to do, it was still fun, just hanging out in the parking lot, whatever, cruise around.
So I like my dad's truck, who he gave to me. Like I have that kind of family, like the truck's not really worth a whole lot, but it's worth a lot to me in sentimental value. So did you have any sentimental value as far as like with your family or anything with the car? Or just...
Well, yeah, of course, because basically it didn't run where it sat in the field, and if I had to get it done myself, it would probably still not be going, because I'm not like the expert or anything. But thankfully, my stepdad, his uncle is a great mechanic, and that's how I got this one going too. It had been sitting for a while. But basically, I had a lot of help getting things going, and they got it lined out for me. But,
yeah, I wouldn't have mine if I didn't have a lot of help.
Yeah, so it's basically, it's thanks to them. Able to enjoy it pretty much.
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is how much like time and effort goes into something like that.
Well, yeah, you can go and spend money on something that's ready to go or whatever, but takes a lot of work to actually get to that point.
And even if you do spend a lot of money on something, like what, for your instance, your car, you still had to put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it needed a motor. Set long enough so that everything that's basic needs replaced. Brakes and whatever.
Yeah.
Radiators and this and that. It adds up.
Yep. Okay, so Neil Burton describes nostalgia as like a lacking feeling in some way. So mostly in the form of a feeling that we have or desire to have, which then moves us to find compensation to that feeling that we're lacking. Like, would you feel like you lacked anything as far as like, so like you wanted that car or the car that you have now because it replaced your first car?
Right.
So did you feel lacking that you didn't have?
Yeah,
and
honestly.
You wanted to feel that way again?
Well, yeah, because even when I didn't have my first car and I still had my pickup truck, my pickup truck was just a V6 and it was just like your daily driver and it wasn't no like hot rod or nothing. And I missed having like the rumbling V8 and like the old car and stuff, you know. I mean, the truck was cool and all, but it got to a point where it needed work on a lot and I got fed up with it and I just ended up getting rid of it. I usually am really bad about keeping things and not wanting to get rid of nothing, but I ended up getting rid of it. But yeah, just having my 4-cylinder Jeep out there, you know, it's a daily driver. It's a practical car for like going on road trips to concerts and things.
Good gas mileage.
Yeah, I mean, the only time it broke down on me was when I had like the alternator go out. It's the only time it broke down. But I wanted to have that feeling again, having that car and stuff. For nostalgia in general, like, you know, you ask what makes you nostalgic about stuff. Well, growing up, you know, I collect my movies and stuff. Well, my great-grandmother used to have like a whole big library for all the kids and grandkids come over to have something for entertainment. So, like, my appreciation for like all these 80s music and movies and stuff, you know, watching like John Candy movies and stuff like that, comes from like memories from when I was a kid going in there, playing N64 on a physical cartridge, not downloading something or streaming it, you know. So I'm big on supporting like physical media and stuff like that. So I have a nostalgic attachment to that. You know, if I go back and play like an old game or watch an old movie or something, then it brings me back to when I was younger, when you're in your happiest times and all that stuff, and you're innocent. And
so even the things that you watch or you play, that's even way before your time.
Yeah. As long as I have like that attachment to it, that I experienced it myself. Because you know, like I was born in '93, but a lot of the stuff I like is from the '70s or the '80s. Because you know, I just see it and it appeals to me because I like the styles and the culture behind it. Because there is a, you know.
Oh yeah, like I like looking at pictures of just like car culture. Like everybody back then had big fat tires in their cars and they poked out way past the fenders, and just everybody in high school had like an old car that they fixed up.
Yeah, you would like to see the pictures. I don't know if they ever showed them to you, but of my grandpa's old race cars and stuff, and he had, and you know, he didn't just do the dirt racing, but he did the drag racing. He had street cars and stuff too. But there's a lot of stuff like that.
And it just, I don't know, seeing those old pictures to me kind of like paints the picture of like life was good back then, and it was a lot simpler and things were a lot slower.
Well, I think you just had to create your own fun.
Yeah.
Where like now people just get bored and they're like, oh, whatever, you know.
Get on Instagram or you know, social media. So do you feel like you go back in time when you drive it?
Well, sort of. I mean, you know, I've got my picture wearing my Judas Priest shirt, which is like an album from like the '70s, and those cars were popular during that time and stuff, you know. And you get these people that are from that time and they're older, so I guess not so much, but just seeing them appreciate it. You know?
Yeah, older guys, they always seem to appreciate it, especially when like younger kids are interested in that. Like most of the people I grew up with were not interested in anything.
But I would say that it can be like a time capsule though, if you know, you put on the right tunes, get in the right mindset.
Like a lot of people call old cars, like I don't know if it's said a lot in real life, but I know a lot of people on the internet, they call them like Wayback Machines, just because like you get in it and it's like a time machine. And then just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to add in some like funny things that happen, like because you have like really good stories of just like people like just being weird. Like the guy at the gas, or what were you at? Car wash?
Yeah, that guy, yeah. And then also, I can't remember if I told you about the last time I stopped at a gas station. like when there was a guy that pulled up, you always get those people.
Oh,
I just got my car out of storage, and this guy pulls up, and he's in like a pickup truck, whatever. And he's got like a guy that looks like he could be his twin brother or something sitting next to him. He probably was his brother, but he's just like, "What year is that?" Standard questions, and I told him 81, and he's talking about how he had like a '79 Camaro or like a 70 something Firebird, whatever. He had a couple different old cars, whatever, back in the day, and he's like, "Yeah, when I was 15, I had a '79, and I wanted to see what it'd do, so I ran it like 120 and I wrecked it." And that was his story. Basically, he had one, he wished he still had it, and I was like, well, I've heard that before,
Yeah. I always get those old guys that like come up to you, like I've told you this before, and he's just like, "Yeah, man, I used to have me one." Like I love, like most of the people that you meet at gas stations are like really nice people, at least from my experience, that come up and talk to me. Most of it's older guys, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, I had one of them when I was younger, and I wish I still had it." And them were pretty good trucks back in the day, but there's just one guy. I was at the Marathon station, and he comes up to me, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I had me one of them back in 1969, son. That was back in the day when you can go down to the creek and smoke you some marijuana without anybody knowing about it." And I was just like, "Cool." Why are you telling me
Didn't you
this?
say there was one person that said they had one and they hated it?
Oh yeah,
Worst
there's
thing
a
they ever
guy
had
at the
or
car
something?
show, and most of the guys at the car show come up to me and just like, "Yeah, I had me one of them," general old guy stuff. And this one guy was like, "Oh yeah, I had a '67," and he goes, and I was like, "Oh yeah, really?" He goes, "Yeah," and I hated that.
Yeah, and you'd think you wouldn't come up to somebody.
Oh,
and say
yeah.
that, but
I think my favorite one is that one that you said that guy was like looking at you through the window, and he was like smoking or whatever, and he was like, "Man, that's a nice car there," and you're just like, "Thanks" or something. And then what did you say? He goes, "Yeah, it looks like a car I could smoke me a big old joint in."
Oh
it."
yeah, where was that? Actually, we were at a stoplight. I had to think about what you were even talking about, but he was sitting in his car in the stoplight, and he was like complimenting it, and I was just like, thanks, and like didn't really know what to say. And yeah, he's like, "It looks like something I get high and smoke a big joint in." And I was like, "All right." I had like one lady that worked at Sonic one time, and it's something similar to that. She's like, "This looks like something I'd take to the drag strip," and yeah, actually outside of Hastings one time, it was like, you had the cafe, like the little coffee shop, whatever. Like there were some like girls that were around my age range and stuff, and they were sitting out there, and they were like, "Oh, that's a nice car," because they saw me drive it by.
Mm-hmm.
And if she had asked if she could ride it, I would have said, "Yeah, sure, I don't care." But no, she's like, "Can I drive it?" And I'm like, "I don't even know her."
Yeah.
So there's no way. And all that. Like my friend was like riding with me, and he was like kind of like picking on me. 'Cause he's like, "Oh, you just like turned her down. Like, why wouldn't you let her ride in it?"
What do you mean? Why wouldn't you let her
Yeah.
ride it? It's like, what if they wreck it or something?
Yeah, I was like, there's a big difference between asking to ride in it and asking to drive it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll start asking you questions, and then at the end we'll do like the beginning part. If that makes sense. Just so it's like not like talking to ourselves like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
We'll edit this part out. I'm trying to think of any other questions to ask. Pretty much nailed it.
Well, I mean,
That was a lot smoother than what I thought it was going to be. Like I was thinking I'm going to be like,
as long as it's like didn't stop recording, that'd be bad. Then you have to remember what you didn't say.
Yeah. I think that was like more than 6 minutes worth of footage.
Probably. Well, you also left it running though, so it's
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a lot
of
more.
filler in
But,
there.
yeah. I'm going to guess like in the middle of this, when I edit this, like in the beginning, I'm going to have a laptop, and then like in the middle, it's just going to disappear. I don't know where I was going with that. I think that's about it.
Got ready to get something to eat here soon.
We'll have to finish this up and see. We'll do like a. So we'll do like the introduction, I guess, where it's like, "Hey, what?" How many people are like the beginning of a video.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know if we need an ending or not. Do podcast have endings.
I don't know. A couple of the ones I've watched, it's trying to like, like they're talking, and then you know how like if a video's about to end, like the little bubble pops up and says you can click on the next video or something. And like the last few seconds, they're just talking, and they're trying to say their last words, and that's all there is to it. So they didn't really have like a farewell or nothing. But.
Well, if not, thanks for watching. Whoever 5 people that are probably watching this video.